My name is Kojo Marfo. I'm originally from Ghana, live in London now. I am a social entrepreneur, so I consider myself half Gandhi, half Branson. I call myself half Branson, half Gandhi because I can see the business side of things in what I do with what Richard Branson does. And also I have a very charitable heart in terms of the other things and giving people opportunities and creating awareness of charities. And that's similar to what Gandhi had. I feel like Gandhi had a big heart and Rich is very good with businesses. I personally don't believe age is a factor in my field. I was in my late teens when I started doing what I do now, and it came to me naturally. It was something that I had to do as a means of survival. It never had anything to do with how young I was or how old I was. It was what I had to do at that time, and that's what got me to where I am now. If we look at history and the people that have done great things, it's only now that we tend to think that they did all these great things whilst they were older. But if you look at Tupac, Mandela and Ali, Mike Tyson, these people did things in their early 20s, but because time has gone on so much, you think that they did in their older time. So people just need to realize that we're young for a reason, and if you're going to do things, you might as well do it now and not wait till you're older, because it's even better when you're young. Because I remember Skepta saying something about
like a crossfader, you get what I'm saying? Like a crossfader as a DJ, you start with energy as a younger, you get what I'm saying? And on the other deck is knowledge, you get what I'm saying? And wisdom. So when you're pushing the crossfader over in life, yeah, when you get to the middle, you're like at a nice point of like energy and wisdom and knowledge. You get me?
So when you're in your 20s or when you're in your late teens and kind of in the middle age, you need to understand like you have a reach, you have a lot of energy in you as well, you have less responsibilities. So why would you let your age be a reason why you don't achieve greatness? Because the older you get, which is closer to the other faith side, it's going to be more family-oriented responsibilities, more bills, more social issues that you might want to attend to as opposed to your personal dreams. So I believe that if anything, you should let your age or being young inspire you to do great things as opposed to holding you back. What I do to ensure that I have a productive day is I declare it first. So everyone that knows me, on Mondays, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., I make sure on all my socials, I tweet or I put on Snapchat or Instagram that I declare this week a productive week. So I believe that it's just the power of affirmation. So if you confirm things and if you proclaim things and if you say things out there, you have to now live up to it. So if I see myself as a wealthy person, I'm gonna do things that are gonna make me wealthy. If I see myself as a productive person, I'm gonna do things that are gonna make my day productive. I do keep a diary. I like to write. I don't use my phone as a diary. So I believe another thing is the day starts the day before. So if you're trying to make Tuesday a productive day, start on Monday or start on Monday evening, write things down. What do you want to see yourself do on Tuesday? So personally, I like to plan ahead. So in my diary, I'd write, okay, I need to meet this person. I need to research about this brand. I need to email that person. And that's how my day becomes productive. I was born in Ghana. I come from a Christian family of 6. I have 2 brothers, 2 older sisters. So growing up is like having 3 moms. Everyone want to look after you and tell you what not to do. I went to a very good school called Alpha Beta in Dansoman in Accra. It's a private school. My proprietress, Mr. Japon, I personally believe that the person I am today is because of who she is and what she did with the pupils in the school as at that time. Because I remember we used to learn verbal reasoning and quantitative analysis, if I got the right word for it. So that is like logical reasoning, and we're only like 10 or 11. It made you think deeper than the average kid. She would take us to places like Tresako Valley. As at that time, it was like the richest area in Ghana. All she did was like, go have a look around at these houses. So these were, as at that time, these were houses going for like $300,000, $400,000. And we were like 12, 13. And I only now realize why she did that, if that makes sense. So she wanted us to become dreamers. She wanted us to see this big house and say, I want to live in there. So I remember we were just going around and it was like a gated community. And that was my first time ever seeing a gated community. And they had all these nice houses that people hadn't even bought yet. And one of the guys that was taking us around was saying, oh, this house is $250,000. And I said, is anyone going to buy that? It's like, yeah, Linus Lewis is going to be living here in a month. I was like, oh, I want a house like that. And then he just started laughing. But I remember that day, it changed the way I see things, because I realized that, you know what, if people can do what they do to end up in a house like this, I might as well go out and do what I want to do, to at least have a house in Stratford. My parents were affluent, so me and my brother would be like chauffeur driven to school. Our fees were in dollars. So growing up, apart from the Christian values that were instilled in us, life was good. The rest of my family moved to England. So I wanted to stay and go to boarding school. I was only about 14 then, and I went to enquiries school, and that's the same school as like the 7th UN Secretary General, Kofi Annan. So it was a prestigious school, and I didn't want to miss it for England. Like, I could always come back or come over here and join them when I wanted, so I didn't really care about any of that. And being there by myself, it opened a whole different world to me. Like, it was my first time I was interacting with different people from different parts of Ghana, because Ghana is very diverse, as much as people don't know. It made me relate to people differently. I've seen people that are very poor for the first time. I've seen people that their parents had nothing. They're only there because education is the only way out, or the whole community donated money for them to come to secondary school. And this was me coming from a private school, and I'm in the same class with him, and I'm having conversations with him, and they don't even want to go back home because it's a bit depressing and stuff like that. So it made me view life a bit differently, and it made me more independent as well. So my time in secondary school was like an amazing time, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. So when I turned 18, I just finished secondary school, and my parents were like, okay, you might want to join us here. So that's when I moved to London to join my parents. Being a social entrepreneur, I've realized that it's a daily survival thing. You don't have a day off, and you always have to have a big heart for people. So there's a thin line between business and personal, but then the only people that make business personal or make their business like a personal thing to them are social entrepreneurs, because we don't mind making a loss just so other people are happy. It might not make sense to the business side of things, but we go home happier. In us, we feel a sense of accomplishment that someone's dream has been met, or someone's goals have been achieved, or someone's family is happy, or someone is either made a new connection with someone that's, you don't know the potential of that, or it's got scope to develop into anything else. So it's taught me that you might not always win, but another thing is your paycheck is not always financial. So you're gonna have a lot of thank yous, a lot of God bless yous, but that goes a long way than the profits and the money on the cash that you might generate from like events or projects or campaigns. If I had to choose one song, I would choose Clips, Keys Open Doors.
Keys open doors, keys open doors, keys open doors, keys open doors. Yo, make your skin crawl, press one button, let the wind fall. Who gon' stop us? Fuck the coppers, the mind of a kilo shopper. Seeing my life through the windshields of choppers. I ain't spent one rap dollar in 3 years, holla.
It could be anything for you, from drug dealing to whatever. But what I took from that is, well, keys, we know, as Daniel will always say, means gems or inspirational things or quotes or knowledge. So the way I see that phrase is, or the way that song makes me feel is, if you got keys, it's gonna open doors for you. So spend time understanding your craft, spend time gaining knowledge, spend time speaking to people, and there's always gems in conversations, there's always advices in hearing people speak, or even researching about what you really want to do. And whilst you've got that knowledge, once you've got those keys, it's going to open different doors for you. You can move into like a different space, and you understand where your direction of your career, or wherever you've decided that you're going to go is clearer to you. Your vision becomes clearer just because you got those keys. So I would say Clips, Keys Open Doors will be that one for me. In the classroom, I was a very shy person. I would never come to the front to speak. I would never raise my hands to even answer something. I know there's been moments when I knew an answer to a question, but I wouldn't want to say it just in case I might be wrong. But most important, because I was shy. So growing up, I was just a shy guy. And I wouldn't say I'm shy now, because of what I do. I have to now speak to people, inspire people, have interviews, and that has to be put away. But it's important to always have that child in you. Being a child means you're submissive to your dreams. you have a vision. You want to grow up. Children always grow. No one stays a child forever. But then again, if you have a child in you, then you have to let that child grow. So if you have a child in you and you have a discipline, or you have a career, or you have a dream, you have to work towards it. That has to develop in you. And there's a quote that I really like, which says, growth is not automatic. You're not just going to grow. For you to grow, you have to feed yourself. You have to, gain knowledge. You have to research. You have to, educate yourself, stuff like that. So just, if anything, remember that growth is not automatic, and you have to make the growth you want to see possible, if anything. I have a personal quote that I live by. Your input must match your desire. So if you really want something, it's as simple as it. You have to work towards it. Nothing comes for free. And there's so much you can learn by working towards your dream, as opposed to expecting a blueprint or a handout or a bring-in or whatever they call it. So it's important for you to be on top of what you're doing and not expect anything. And that way you don't become disappointed in stuff. And even when you lose, because you understand that this is a journey, because you understand that this is a process, or you're making progress, whenever you lose or whenever things don't go well, you now know how to use that to your advantage when you face a similar situation, or even if you don't face a similar situation. I personally believe that sometimes we go through things so other people don't go through it. So that if I have a conversation with like my little brother or someone else that I know, and he says, how did you do this? I can now tell the person that, oh, this is what I went through and this is what I think you should avoid. So it's important for you to have a strong work ethic and to understand that, we never get there. There is no finish goal. You're always going to keep going and keep going. If someone gives you a hefty amount of money, the world doesn't stop there. You now have new requirements, new needs. People start looking at you different. So it's always important to have a goal that you work towards, and that will open more doors for you to even do more things in your life. So the first time I moved in to join my family was in 2006, and I had no idea what England was. All I knew was it's just probably a place where a lot of rich people lived, and whenever I needed money, I always called my parents and they'll send it over when I need like game consoles, whatever. So I just thought everything was good. It was all blessed, right? So I've moved over now, and I kind of, seen the type of jobs my parents were doing to fund my lifestyle over there. And I just felt this weird sense of guilt. Like, they didn't have to do this, or, they didn't have to do that just so I can go to a private school, or just so I can have money all the time. So I just started feeling guilty for all the times that I asked them for stuff. So I made a promise to myself that I'm never gonna ask them for anything. It just made me understand life in a whole different perspective, that, wow, it's real. Like, there's a whole different ball game. I would expect Ghana to be like this, or some parts of Ghana to be like this. I wouldn't expect England to be like this at all. It made me very passion driven. It increased my faith. I started praying a lot. I started taking God more serious, because I realized that I will need some sort of divine intervention if I'm supposed to stay in this country or even survive in this country. So one of the first experiences I got myself into is I used to be a cleaner. So my dad was a supervisor in the school, so he enrolled me in the school. So I was cleaning between like 6 to 8, so 2 hours every morning. And I'll come back home and I'll just sleep or go on the internet, because I didn't have much to do. So I was doing that for like a year, and then my dad got another contract. So he needed cleaners to do Ladbrokes betting shops. So for like the first 2 years of my life, I was cleaning Ladbrokes every day. And the funny thing about Ladbrokes, bro, they open every day except Christmas. So you're working every day. There's no days off. So if I go to like a party or I go to a wedding, I have to leave the wedding and go and clean the shops. So it's called a key job, right? So they give you the key and then you go and do your job. And you go in and you clean and you hoover and all of that. And you end up with like £5 an hour. But then it's something to me, because when I start earning money, I'll always try to see how much it is in Ghana. So like, let's say if I made £200 a month, it's like, oh, that's like 1 million in Ghana, and I'm happy. but my parents was like saying, oh, don't stop doing that, or you're not really going to fit into the society here. But I learned so much during that practice, because whilst I was cleaning the school, I was still doing the Ladbroke. So I had like 2 cleaning jobs that I was doing for like the first 2 years. And I would speak to some of the cleaners, right? And they'd be doing the cleaning for like 6 years, 8 years, 10 years. And they felt no way about it. And I'm not judging them, but I didn't see myself staying there for that long. And I just come from secondary school in Ghana, and I'm thinking, I want to go to a school, I want to enroll, and I want to go to college or something. And I've always wanted to be a pilot. I want to study something related to that maybe. And I kept praying that, oh God, if you make a way for me, I'm gonna make sure I go all the way, all of these things. So having students around me, obviously I'm not in the same class with them, but it kind of motivated me to be like, you know what, and I'll see them like running around and whatnot, and I was like, if I have your opportunity, I'm taking it. I'm taking advantage of what you're taking for granted, literally. So that motivated me to, keep pushing. I just done my cleaning shift somewhere in Harrow. I was on the 114 bus, just chilling, listening to music at the back of the top deck, and I remember this Caribbean-looking late 30s guy just come up, and he's staring at me. It's like, he said, "Why are you looking at me?" So I was like, "Oh, this guy's probably drunk. He's got a bottle in his bag." And I just kept looking outside. I didn't really care about nothing. He's like, "Why are you looking at me? Why are you looking at me?" I was like, "What's this guy on?" Next thing I know, he walks past me a little bit, and then he just hit the top of my head with a bottle, and I started bleeding. I got a scar there even, and I literally thought, I don't know, I thought I was gonna lose my life, because my whole body was soaked in blood, and I was literally going down the bus, and everyone started running. So I got down to the bus driver. I was like, someone just hit me. I couldn't even speak. Like, I got blood in my mouth, and it's like, someone just hit me. And then the guy comes downstairs with the bottle in his hand, and he's like, "Oh, get off the bus." And then I got off the bus, obviously because I'm scared. And then he told the driver, like, "Move the bus, like, drive the bus." And then he comes outside now, and he said to my face, "Oh, you're lucky, I would have killed you." And I'm still in shock. Like, I didn't do nothing, I didn't say nothing, I didn't even look at him. I'm just looking outside, and I got assaulted. And obviously I'm new in the country, and I'm thinking I'm doing all these cleaning jobs and whatnot, which wasn't a bad thing to me, but it's just the type of people I'm gonna have to live with. And I started feeling like maybe I'm better off going back to Ghana, and this country is filled with like people that don't care. And I was in the hospital for a bit. In like 2 days I have to go back to college, because I just started college then. And then I was in a weird space in life where I didn't really know whether I fit into society yet. But then obviously having a few friends in college made those kind of feelings go away. But yeah. So I was in college for 2 years. I studied physics, maths, and ICT. I wanted to be a pilot, and I remember speaking to one of my lecturers, and he said, "Oh, if you're gonna go uni, study aerospace engineering or aviation or something like that." So I passed with A-levels. I went to Coventry University to study aerospace engineering. And in my mind, I'm there to study aerospace engineering, and that's it. I want to be a pilot. I still want to be a pilot. And when I went in, I did 4 years of education. I realized that anyone can be a pilot. Danny, you can be a pilot. What you need is just the money for the training. So really and truly, why am I, going through 4 years just to do something anyone with money can do? So I found my calling whilst I was still in uni. But before that, obviously going to university, because of my background, I had no access to government funding. I had no access to student loans or nothing like that. And I had saved some money from working as a waiter in an African restaurant called Biazo. Shouts to Auntie Kemi. And I had some Lloyd's overdraft, but I remember I only had like £200 to my name, right? And my dad and a guy from my church called Chief, they drove me to Coventry. It's a Sunday, 20th September, 2009. I'll never forget it. So I checked into my room, which looked way smaller than what I've seen on the internet. I don't know how the landlord took the pictures, but my room was literally like a circle, bro. It's like it's a single bed, and there's like space to get changed, and there's not even a desk there, nothing like that, and a little wardrobe. So that was my room for my first year. And then my dad, I remember my dad saying, do you really want to be here? It was that bad. And then obviously we did our prayers and whatnot, and then he went back. And I felt so lonely there, bro. Like, it's like I'm in a different city. I've been in London for like 3 years, and I've come all the way to Coventry by myself. I didn't know no one, but my sister lived in Leicester. But I had no money for nothing. I only had £200, but that could only cover you for like your first rent. So I started applying for jobs and whatnot, and no one was getting back, and it was getting to me because I had no money. So this is one thing I used to do, right? It's crazy. I'm not proud of it. I live down the road. If you know Coventry, well, you know Holyhead Road. It leads to Morrison's. So I will go to Morrison's when they're doing like sales on like chicken and whatnot. And then I'll grab stickers. So I'll buy like a drumstick, and I'll buy like a chicken piece, or I'll buy whatever. So in my room, I had stickers, like a 50p sticker, 20p sticker, £1.20 sticker, all lined up on my posters, right? So when I'm going food shopping, I'll have like a lot of stickers on my arm, like up to like £5 worth of stickers. There's like 10 stickers on my arm. So that when I pick up like a piece of chicken, like a whole chicken maybe, or I'll pick whatever I wanted, I'll pick them. I feel bad saying it. I feel bad saying this. Guys, don't do this here. Don't try this. It's not good. But I had to do this because I literally had no money, bro. I was praying, and the manna wasn't falling from heaven. I had to do what I had to do. So I'll go to Morrison's. I'll pick up stuff. And I'll take the sticker from my hand or my arm, and then I'll put it in there, and I'll go to the self-check, and I'll scan a lot of things, and then my bill's like £5, but my back here is like £40 or whatever. And then I'll come back home, cook for like the whole week, buy plastic containers, spaghetti and sardines, all of that. Like that was my meal, because I literally had no money. But it started getting to me. But because I had made a promise to myself, like I'm never going to ask my parents for money, I'm never going to ask for that. And they kind of knew that that's what I was on. I didn't want to call them and say, send me money, or do this, or I'm in debt, or my rent is up, or for 2 months and I can't pay for it. I didn't want to say nothing like that to anyone. So I was literally by myself. I had no one. The closest person was my sister. She was going to university, and I had a friend, Junior and Tayo, that lived across the street. But when I come back home, it's just me. Like, there's a couple international students in my accommodation, but we didn't really used to get along like that. So if it's just me, like I had no laptop, bro. Like in uni, first year, I had no laptop, no TV, no radio, nothing. It's just a small room with you and your foot. And when it gets dark, because you're young, you start feeling a type of way, and then you start reminiscing about Ghana, and you start thinking about the good life. I literally was going through it, and I remember it got to a point where I realized I had to pay for my own fees because the government loan was not coming through, and that was what, that was like the last thing. I thought, this is it. I've been over ambitious. I left my family, came over here. It's not gonna work for me. And a few other things as well. I just thought, I started feeling suicidal, so I wrote a suicide note. My brother, this, I'm sorry. I don't want to go into details of that. So I decided, since my sister lived close to me, and because Leicester is like 30 minutes from Coventry, I would go see her at least for the last time before I come back, to Coventry and then kill myself, literally, or however I decided to do it. I hadn't planned to that stage yet. So I took a bus. It's a bus called X6, and then it took me to Leicester. So then I see my sister on Saturday, and obviously she's cooked for me. I would never show that I'm depressed. I didn't probably even know I was depressed, bro. And when we were talking, having a good time, whatnot, and I said I had to go back Coventry. I got something to do, but she doesn't know what I'm going to do in Coventry. And whilst we were walking to her bus station, we just seen the exits leave. And the funny thing is, say the exit leaves at 6 o'clock. We see the exit leave at 5:50. It's not usual for the bus to leave before its time, because that's the first stop it leaves. It's not like we're waiting for it somewhere. And then she's like, oh damn, we missed it now. Or do you want to stay at mine? The next day we go to church, and then you can leave after church service. I'm like, cool, that's the last bus. I don't have money for train, so let's go back then. So I went back to hers, slept, woke up the next day. We went to church. And I'm just staying there because in my mind, this is my last church service. I'm just sitting at the back watching everything. And the church elder, I think at that time his name was Elder Kojo. So he said he feels in his heart that someone is feeling suicidal here, and he needs to come, the person needs to come to the front and I'm just sitting down there watching. Well, I'm not feeling suicidal. It can't be me. He doesn't even know me from nowhere, bro. And then he just, like, I think they were praying, and he stops halfway, and then he said, the young man at the back, do you want to come to the front? And I just kept looking. I realized I'm the only young man at the back, and this is a small church. So I walked to the front now, and I feel like the presence of God was really there. I just started crying. And obviously my sister doesn't know what's going on. So I started confessing that my reason for coming to Leicester is to see my sister for the last time, go back to Coventry and do what I have to do. And then he said, you should not try to do that. Don't try to take your life. God is going to make you a great person. Your future is great. You have no reason to even consider suicide. My sister started crying, all of that. And I just felt the weirdest sense of guilt, like, what was I even thinking? Like, it can't be that bad, wherever it is. So obviously she had a word with me, like, we care about you. If anything, just I can send you some money, because she was working. And I said, cool. So I left Leicester now, and on that X6 back to Coventry, I just started crying, and I was saying to myself that this could have gone the other way. If I caught the last exit, I wouldn't even be on earth, like I'll be dead. And for that to happen, for us to miss the bus, one, for her church elder to call me to the front, that means God has a purpose for my life. So I was lucky, you know, that's why I can relate to everyone that's probably taking their life, because it can get to that, bro. Like, things can be hard, bro. And I said to myself that my one was divine intervention. Like, if God didn't come through, I wouldn't be here, wouldn't be having an interview. That was like the longest journey in my life, going back, and then I'm thinking, I need to do something with myself. Like, this is not the Kojo I even know. Like, why did it even get to this stage? Got back home, you know, started writing up CVs, giving out to all shops. Like, I said to myself, I'm in Coventry now, I'm in no man's land, I don't know anyone. I'm gonna make this count. I'm gonna make people remember me. I'm gonna do great things. Like, when I got back, I was just like a different person. I was just like supercharged. It must be God, wherever it is. But I remember that feeling so clearly, that whatever opportunity that I get, I'm taking it. I'm not gonna sit in my small room and start crying or start feeling depressed. And God being so good, I got a part-time job in Comet, which was literally like down my road. So I was doing full-time hours whilst in full-time education, bro. I would do like a morning shift, then go to my class, then go back to Comet to finish, like, to do like a 3 hour, just so I have enough hours, because I need to save money to pay for my tuition and pay for my accommodation and all of that. It was exciting because at least someone had employed me. But the Comet shift was a Christmas temp. First Christmas in university, I spent it by myself. I didn't even really want to go home anyways. And I remember we went to a Christmas party. That was meant to be like one of my last days in Comet. And I didn't want to go because I need to now start looking for another job and all of that. I was like, oh, let me just tag along, it's free. Might as well go get a drink, whatever. So I'm at the Christmas party now, and there's a guy that walks up to me and he's like, oh, why are you not drinking? And it's like, oh, I don't drink. And then he said to me, you are Christmas temp, right? And I said, yeah. He's like, oh, that's why you're not drinking. Do you know that drinks are free? And so he is thinking I don't drink because I don't have money to buy drinks or whatnot, and everyone else is drinking, and I don't know it's free. And I said, I'm not drinking. It's not like I don't have the money for it, well, I didn't, but it's got nothing to do with it. I just, I'm not a fan of alcohol like that. And then he's like, that's intriguing. He's never had anyone say that, especially when everyone is getting wasted. And then he started speaking to me about why and what do you believe in and all of that. We spent some time speaking. I was just having a conversation with him, like, I'm studying aerospace engineering, I'm this, I'm that, what. And then he said, oh, cool. So he walks away, and then my manager comes over to me and he said, oh, you met Sam Kundi? And I said, who is Sam Kundi? He's like, oh, the guy you were speaking to, he's the area head, and he likes you. He said we should keep you on permanent. I was like, oh, let me go say thank you to the guy. So I walked up to him and was like, thank you, And I kept that job literally till I finished uni. In Coventry, as at that time, it was hard to get jobs, literally. Comet is no more anyways. And that taught me something, that there were people in Comet that they've been working there for 20 plus years. I had a best friend, she was like 60 plus, her name was Sheila. She was working for a long time. And then when Comet went bust, it taught me that nothing is promised. Like, if you're always going to be working for people, or if your source of income is coming from a corporate body or an industry or an organization, anything can happen. Like, we got told enquiries and PC World were going to shut down because they're lacking revenue and da-da-da-da. And that's what we got told. And like in 2 or 3 weeks, we had a meeting and they said, Comet is no more, like they're gonna wrap up the whole thing and turn it into like an online store or something like that. So someone's decision at the top has affected my life. And I said to myself that I'm not gonna put myself in a situation where, you know, someone says, fire Kojo, or okay, this company is not running anymore, and then I'm back to square one and I need to start looking for jobs anymore. So that's why I decided to take, you know, the other things that I do more seriously. I was in ACS, I was events and publicity officer in ACS. So that was like my first taste of doing any event. So we have like a bit of fashion shows here and there, student night, end of year balls, stuff like that. And our year was so good that they put my mate's name, Junior, so they put his name on the Hall of Fame because our ACS was that good. Like, everyone used to come to our events. It was like the only thing that was really popping in uni. After ACS that year, people kept asking like, oh, you should still do events, you're good at this, like, don't just leave or do ACS again. So I just thought, oh, there's interest here, people are asking for us to do this. So I started an event company with my mate, DJ Nori, called Party Vibes. So what we do is we hire students to be co-promoters or to be runners or to sell tickets and stuff like that. So I like a proper structure of a company. Well, obviously at that time we didn't really know what we're doing. So I remember we booked Fuse ODG for like student night. Angel, Fecky, like I think I gave Fecky one of his first biggest performance. If he remembers this, in Coventry, and he even called to say I should plan his birthday, I remember that. So like a big thing was like all of a sudden you don't feel suicidal anymore. People gravitating to you, you're the guy. I connected with my entrepreneurial side, because let's say I'll go to Comet, right? And I'll hustle, do hours, all of these things. And then in the month, you just walk away with like 300 or 400 pounds. Or you can have like a student night and then walk away with like 2,000 pounds. And then I feel like that process, God was telling me, like, this is your life if you go this way, and that is your life if you pursue your dreams or you take your interests serious. So every experience I went through in uni, it meant a lot to me, because I remember I had like a conversation with a photographer. I was like, I don't like these pictures. It doesn't, you know, represent what the event was. And then he wasn't really understanding what I was going through, what I was trying to say. So I started my own photography and media company called Say Cheese. It was with the same partner, DJ Nori. And what we used to do, again, hire students that were doing media to cover like parties, weddings, concerts, like say if Chipmunk was live, Tinchi, Debanj, all of these things. And I even had to double up to take pictures. But it was more of a business to me, because again, I needed money coming in. I had 6,000, 8,000 tuition fees to pay. You know, I had like £400 a month rent to pay. So my connection with my entrepreneurial skills was a mode of survival, it was a means of survival, if I can say that. Like, I had to do that to stay in university, literally. It just happened that God blessed everything that I touched. The uni kind of took notice of my events company and my media company. It's like, oh, we can work with this guy here. So they enrolled me on they used to have a program called Speed. So it's for like young entrepreneurs that want to get to know like the logistics of running a company, structures, legal stuff, and all of these things. They booked this weekend in Crewe. Like, I had to go meet other entrepreneurs from different parts of UK, and I reckon that changed the way I see business or the way I see things. So they taught me a lot of like taxing and branding and competition and different stuff. And I just thought, when I come back to Coventry, I'm gonna be a whole different person. Like, I learned so much within that weekend, yeah. When I came back, I was like, oh, we're turning this up. Like, we changing the way things are done. So I became like the first student to ever have like their own Saturday nights. There's a club called Igloo that gave me Saturday nights I was running. First student to ever do that. And then the university made me Entrepreneur of the Year as well, the same year. And it became a bit saturated. A lot of people started doing raves or shows, whatever it is, and I always wanted to challenge myself. And to be honest, I'm never the type of person that raves or drinks or whatnot. But the guy that used to do raves in his club, Asian guy called Bassi, so he was like my mentor, so I have conversations with him. And one time when we were rehearsing for my Runway, I was just like, oh, Bassi, I want to do something different. I don't want to do this raves thing for long. Like, is there anything you can bring me in? And he said, oh, he has a few real estate, but if I'm very serious, I should meet him the next day and he can introduce me to one of it and I can turn it around into like a bar or student club if I want it. So the next day I went to see him and he's like, oh, you know that building there, I own it. If you want, you can run it. It's like, oh yeah, I'll take it. So that was my way of getting into real estate or owning a nightclub. And the funny thing about that is, I remember when I was a fresher, so I was excited. My first ever party, Lava, nightclub, it doesn't exist anymore. I'm thinking, all right, let me go try this out. I've heard so much stories. In the queue, they're letting everyone in, yeah? The bouncer's like, where's your ID? I didn't have an ID. I had to go home. It's a long way back home. I was just cussing about something in my head. I'm thinking, I didn't know what I was saying, but in my mind, I need to show him something, yeah? So it was a weird feeling for me having my own nightclub called XO. And that's at that time I had recruited students. I was like bar staff, runners, ticket sellers, cleaners, security. We had about up to like 13 people on payroll at one point. And it was like the place everyone wanted to come to because you know Kojo or you know Kojo's brother. And we had no fights, nothing like that because people just wanted to chill. And my graduation party was in that club. And I remember I had a moment, I was just watching everyone have fun and whatever it is they were doing. And I thought, a few years ago, I couldn't even get to a nightclub, bro. Like, they wouldn't even let me in. And God being so good, the guy that was suicidal that nearly took his life, now your graduation party is in your own nightclub and people having fun. That had never been where I wanted to be, if that makes sense. Because again, I was raised with strong Christian values and I didn't want to create the atmosphere for people to do certain vices or to be getting drunk and whatnot. It's always been a business to me. I think, all right, let me see what I can get out of this to fund my tuition, fund my life in university, and then take it to whatever level that it was. So in university, like everything that I did was literally so I can stay in university, so I can fund my life. But I was just blessed that all the things that I managed to start got me to where I am now. I wouldn't advise anyone to become like me because I believe that our stories are different and I'm only here because of what I had to go through. But I don't know what anyone else is going through, but what I can say is it's amazing when it's only one of you. But then use your story to inspire what you do. So if you're the type of person that makes people laugh, if you're the type of person that brings everyone close to you, if you're the type of person that has story to tell, use that to direct you to where you're going. Like I personally believe, like I have so much faith in the youth community, right? I believe like everyone can do anything, minus the politics and the gatekeepers and the circle of friends and all the stupid things that come with, young people trying to do stuff, right? I believe everyone under 30 can do amazing things if they really want to. It's not easy, but you can start somewhere. But I feel like a lot of people, like they just want to see, they see the gloss, they see, like they might see an O2 or a Copper Box Arena, but they don't know what comes with it. They don't know the tears and like I've lost friends and people that I thought were family even at one point, all because of this. But I understand like it's a process. I understand like this train has to move, bro. Like people will jump off, people will come on, but the train has to move. That's the way I see it. So if you see someone and you're feeling like, oh, you want to be inspired by them, that's fine. But use that inspiration for you. Like don't just look at the gloss or the finished product and say, I want to have like my Runway. It's good to want to have that, but maybe have conversations about how to do that, or maybe start something similar or different, but you use that same inspiration as your muse to accomplish what you want to do. It's so important for you to find where you are, like your lane. Like I always say to people, life is not about ladders, bro. It's about lanes. Like if you're on your lane, no one is coming for you. It's your lane. If it's ladders, there are people at the top, people at the bottom, and then you start looking at yourself funny that, I want to get there one day, and it's stressing you because you're not there, because Danny is there and you're here. But then you look at the guy there, and then you're thinking, he's probably going to be where I am. I need to hurry up. It just creates that, that weird sense of unaccomplishment, and you feel like you're not where you're supposed to be. You need to scrap that feeling. See yourself as in you're being in one lane. Like, this is Kojo's lane. I don't care the pace I'm going, as long as I'm going. Does that make sense? So it's key for you to have these quotes that you live by, or these inspirational things that you live by, but take it from people and do your own and build your own. People don't even want to have conversations. People don't even, they fair enough, I like a thank you or a God bless you, but I'm open to speak about what I've been through. It hasn't been, even with this, I'm not even saying it all, but it hasn't been a rosy journey to being where I am. And I don't even think I'm there yet. It's just a process. I'm happy with it. If whatever comes of it, I'm happy with it. So whilst in uni, one of my best friends, my brother, Kojo Marfo, I thought he was like a sick artist. So I just always used to say, Kobe, people need to see your stuff, like you're that sick. And we started a company together called VVX. So he does like the illustrations, and then I do the client sourcing and the business side of things. And that went pretty well. Like, Kobe used to live in Victoria. I remember one time I didn't really have any place to stay. I was sleeping on his couch. The next day we jump on a coach, have a meeting with Universal. And that was like a cool moment, and we still have VVX together, and he's doing amazing things. I'm proud of him. But that started off on just university, of us saying, you know what, we can do this. Your art is sicker than that person, or your art needs to be there. And it's just the drive that came with. And I've always had that drive, and that's one thing I'm thankful for. And also started a music night called Dropout Sound Presents with my good friend. He's almost like a mentor. He's only 2 years older than me, Obi. Obi is a good guy to know. So he used to have a platform called Dropout UK, and I was always begging him, like, we need to do events and we need to do this, and it's like, it has to be right. So we came up with the idea of having Dropout Sound Presents, which was literally a platform for emerging artists. Say a record label signs someone, they want them to have like crowd engaging moments or test out music and whatnot. So we had a partnership with Park Plaza in Westminster. For like 2 years, probably one of the longest running live music nights ever. We had people from Mira May, Rachel Kerr, Nipa, Rainy Milo, just different people performing twice a month on Thursdays. Was actually a cool vibe. And I remember one time, Boo, Akon's brother, came through, Tiny Tempers come through there as well. A couple people has been through, Dumi from Disturbing London. So it was like a good vibe to have, and just being a part of that and creating opportunities for emerging artists has always been something I've been involved in. And also, I'm an event producer for Ghana Party in the Park, so for like the last 5 years, I source the artists that are gonna perform. I also give opportunity to young people or young artists that want to take up an opportunity like this to showcase their music, their dancing skills or choreography, wherever it is. So, but it's a key part of what I believe that I am, because coming from Ghana and giving Ghanaians in UK an opportunity to do this is like one of the things that I'm really concerned about, and the young Ghanaians in the diaspora. I feel like I'm playing my role in giving back to young people that are interested in these things. That earned me a slot as Ghana's representative at the Commonwealth service. And that was like the first time I seen the Queen, and I took my mum up there and Pamela as well, and that was the first time they seen the Queen, and it was just an amazing feeling to be there, like the things that you're involved in can get you to be in the presence of someone as prestigious as that. My runway started in university. So I had a mate called Daryl, so he said, we can do something for my sister. His sister was a fashion designer. And then I had another mate called Sinead, and she used to go Warwick, but we used to live together. And she said, we can turn this into something more creative than just a fashion show. So together we started the concept of what my runway was. To be honest, it was just an event, like a one-off event, like a fashion show that had like a twist of creativity to it. But then I, being myself, I always wanted to challenge what the model was. We just had an event for people in Coventry University, I feel like this has scope to be something where we can engage students in Coventry with like the local community. So for the first time we put a production through which had people like non-university people and then obviously like the students. So we had Fuse perform, Mr. Silva, Manny Norte hosted. So the second show was the first time Coventry University students and Coventry locals came together to work on a production. And that worked so well that I thought, why don't we try a Midlands thing where we can have cities like Loughborough, Leicester, Warwick, Coventry. So for the first time again, we had like a joint Midlands production where we had models and team members from Leicester, Birmingham, Coventry, Warwick, all these other places come together to work on a production. So after that time, that's like the third year of what my Runway had become. And I began to realize that this has more scope, or this has more attributes to it as opposed to what people are seeing. A lot of people kind of see the fashion side of things. It's a fashion event. Fair enough, it is to an extent. But behind the scenes, I was seeing what it was doing for people in terms of like confidence building, in terms of portfolio content, in terms of even youth engaging environment. And I feel like we've got to the glass ceiling of what this can be in the Midlands. Because you've done the student thing, you've done a community thing, you've done a Midlands thing, but maybe it's time we do London now, or take over to where like the real players are, or where we can engage with more people from the UK. We decided to go for the O2. It was more of like a statement move, because obviously if it's the O2, people take you more serious, and coming from like the university circle, you don't want to be seen as a university event, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just where I've seen the event, the campaign go in like my 5-year plan for it. So our first event in London was in the O2. We're glad to have Alicia Keys' charity, Keep a Child Alive, as our official charity partner. That came out of nowhere. We sent an email, they looked at our website, they said, this is marvelous, we want to get on board. And that kind of gave me more confidence that, you know what, we're doing something here. People like herself want to reach out and be a part of us. That means we can take this all the way. One of our best shows ever, because of what we had to go through, you know, to put such a show together. And after that show, that's where I realized that, you know, we've always been giving to charity. From the very first show, I remember we put £100 aside, and then we went to my local church. They had a charity called Embrace, and we presented the money to them. And the second show, we raised awareness with Universal Smiles about keeping kids off streets with knives and whatnot. The third show, we raised awareness with ACLT about Leukemia Trust and black people on the register. And then we done the Alicia Keys one, and I just thought we've always had that charity element of it. So we created our own in-house charity project called A Time to Share. So what A Time to Share does is we donate food and clothing items and funds to the homeless people at St. Mungo's in Camden. So that happens each year. So we now have our own charity that we run, and then we now have a more structurized youth development section. So where we run workshops and seminars and music industry nights and just industry nights in general as its own. So that comes under the My Runway Group umbrella. And of course, we keep the creative production side, which people know us for. So this year, obviously, we're doing O2 again, and we done Copper Box last year, which was an interesting one. I would say having not just a team, but the right team is so important. As much as you can be a leader of a project, you come up with the vision. You say we're going here because you see where it can go. Again, people are gonna say, let's go here, let's go there. You have to have an ear for them and an ear for yourself. It's so important to have the right people, and especially with what we do, you have so many people that I want to be a part, but they don't tell you what they want to be a part. Or even when they tell you, you don't even know their motive behind it. So someone might say, I want to be a part of what you do, but they just want to be a part of what they think it is, but they don't really want to develop their interest or skills in that area. So you can end up having so many people on your team and only a few delivering. I'm more of a fan of people that are proactive, that say, all right, cool, you don't even have this role, I feel like if you create this role for me, I can, come in and have a run with it, which is the type of people that I like to work with. But then it's been amazing so far to have a team of people that have come through and then even gone away to start their own things. So you will see on our platforms, we always share other people's stuff, because that's what the platform is. I prefer people to come in, use the skills and the tools that we provide to gain knowledge and experience, and then go out there and do amazing things. My moment of wonder will be the Copper Box experience, because that was like a turning point in with my runway, I would say. I remember I was dealing with that was the first time we were doing an arena. I've always wanted us to do like an arena show in our first 5 years, and it happened. So we're excited about it, booked the venue, and the funny thing is I walked to the venue and I seen this huge RUN run in front of the venue, and I'm like, this is our venue, they love us already, like we can say this is our thing, like, and it was built on Olympic values and inspiring young people and all of this, right? So I'm thinking this is gonna be one of our best shows. We having like a pre-show art exhibition, Kobe's heading that. We have a market space for young entrepreneurs to trade, do their thing. Everything seems to be going well, And for some reason, bro, the venue just started acting funny. 2 nights before the show's on Sunday, Friday evening, like 11:57, got an email, the show is cancelled. Like, what do you mean the show is cancelled? We've paid all this money for the space, we've done everything you've asked us to do, and then so I called him straight away, like, his name is Russ Buns, the director from Copper Box, right? I'll be honest, because maybe we don't get to speak about these things a lot. So I'm on the phone to Russ, he's like, why are you calling me at midnight? I was like, you just sent me an email saying my show is cancelled at midnight. What's going on here? He said, oh, you don't have a production plan. It's like the production company said they've sent you a production plan, and you're saying we don't have a production plan. But when I asked the production company, they're saying Copperbox said they don't have the software to, open the file or something stupid like that. But prior to that, they just put so many things here in our way to make sure the show doesn't even happen. So we went past that, and he's like, oh, cool. And then the day before the show, so I've called up this guy to give him a total number. He's like, you can't have more than 500 people in the building. We sold like 1,000 tickets or more. I booked the venue for 2,000 people. It's on contract. How are you calling me the day before the show saying you can't have more than 500 people in the building? So I'm saying, you can't do that. How am I going to refund people or even have money to pay you back? He said to me, and this is his words, if you have more than 500 people in my venue, I'll get security, come and chase you and your people out. I said, Russ, where is this coming from? He said, I'm not speaking to you about it anymore. And then he calls me back and he said, if you got £500 in your hand, I will work around the 1,000 figure of having 1,000 people in the building. I said, what do you mean? I've already paid the security bill. You're telling me that if I had £500 in my hand, you're gonna get people, you're gonna allow me to have half of what I booked the venue for, which I paid full price. And then, so now I'm panicking. I'm even crying, bro. I'm calling my friend. This is Stratford. I don't even live around there. I need to find who lives close to Stratford. So I have a friend called Levain. So I was like, oh, Levain, I'll transfer money to you, bring the cash so we can have a show. I'm trying to do everything to make sure the show happens, right? And then she like, they said 30 minutes or forget it. So she takes like 45 minutes, Saturday, Banks, wherever it is. And then he sends an email, it's like, all right, cool, money's not here, don't allow more than whatever people in the building. And the money gets here and it's not a big deal. It's like, oh, you can work around the 1,000 figure because of security issues and whatnot. And I'm thinking, where is all this coming from? Like on the day, they're stressing the team so much. Like we literally had no show. And imagine going through this year and the team doesn't even know that there is no show. People are telling their parents, no, this is what I'm going to be doing. People plan their days around it. And someone somewhere is literally trying to, ruin your whole experience. But it just got to show me that there are agents out there that wouldn't want your dream to happen. There are people out there that, look, they will do all they can to make sure nothing happens for you. So for me to be that, persistent to say, oh, I could do this, I'll call this person, I'll do that, just so we can save a show or even have a show, that showed me that, look, I'm in this for life. Like, I'm in giving people opportunities for life. I mean, providing a platform where young people can come and have fun, gain skills, entertain, all of that experience thing for life. So that moment after that whole production showed me that this is what I really want to do. This is my calling. Like, no amount of you don't have a show anymore, your show is cancelled, 10:30, lights come out, all of these minor things, debts, money this, money that, not having enough money at the end of the show, and you're like in minus 13,000, all of these things. It's a reason for me to say no more shows, bro. But I keep going, not because I like these losses, but because, again, my paycheck is not financial. So if someone calls me to say, this is the first time my parents has even seen me do anything, I want to thank you. That is me. I'm done for the day. My work here is done. If anyone calls or emails to say, I got a job from a model scout, or I need a reference, what you sent over got me the job, I take pride in these things. I feel like a lot of creatives should begin to visualize themselves as, you know, money isn't everything, bro. It will come and go. It's what you leave with people. It's how you set people up. And that's what I'm all about. A special quote that I live by is Romans 8:18, which says, the sufferings of today cannot be compared to the glory that will be revealed in us tomorrow, which literally goes to show that whatever it is that you're going through, whatever you feel like is the end of the world, like I've been through this, so I know, to the verity where you feel suicidal even, or you feel like the whole world is against you, or even family and friends and no one really believes in what you're doing. Remember this quote, because it's a promise, and God is not a man that he will lie. So when he says something, it's facts, that means it's going to happen. If he says your tomorrow is going to be better, your tomorrow is going to be better. But that particular quote is a promise. So with promises, it's even got more meaning to it. So whatever it is that you're going through, just realize that it cannot be leveled up at the same, it cannot be on the same level as what you're going to be. So your tomorrow is going to be brighter, your future is going to be brighter, the things you're going to come through and do is just going to be amazing. So I use that to inspire myself. You know what, if things are not going right, it's because something big is about to happen. You have just seen and heard the wonders of Kojo Marfo.